Arganissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.arganissima.com. Arganissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty. Arganissima, New York.
All right, welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, the Fit and Fab channel. New day, new show, new topic, new guest. And in previous shows, I've had various guests that have talked about, anxiety, depression. I had psychiatrists, dialogues, questions, live Q&As. We've had natural, holistic, approaches and discussions about nutrition, wellness, and things like that. But one of the topics we haven't talked much about on the platform is vitamins, minerals, supplements in general, and what do they do and how they benefit the body. So today I have a special guest, and she is an entrepreneur. She's a speaker. She's a wellness person. I mean, she's been around, long enough to really promote a lot of different things about, minerals in general, and a specific mineral we're going to talk about today, which is a very key component. So if you are a fitness person, someone that likes to be well, vital, have a vitality in their life and enjoy life in general, you might want to watch this, listen to this carefully, because we have an expert. But, so the story of this person is a long one, and she's been through different things in her own life and health, and she found a solution. And not only that, she took that solution to the next level and now founded her own company and started actually sharing that solution with people. So again, as always, I start suspenseful, but no more suspense. Let's get to it. So I have with me Natalie Jurado, and she is the founder of Rooted In, a company that focuses on mineral infusion products, right? And I'll let Natalie talk about the company eventually. So welcome to the show, Natalie. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm so excited to talk about my favorite thing in the entire world, which is magnesium.
There you go. So the keyword magnesium, and so we'll talk about that. I mean, we hear about it in terms of supplement. We hear about it in terms of products that we can eat and stuff. We've heard a lot about it in the pandemic as part of, some of the discussions in terms of keeping people immune, healthy and stuff, but there's more to it. But before we get into that, Natalie, so tell us about your story, because I know there is a story behind this company and this product that you really love.
Absolutely. So it's funny because if you had told me like 5-10 years ago, hey, you're going to be obsessed with this mineral and be talking on podcasts and writing about this, I would have thought you were crazy. And here I am. So it's been a crazy long journey. It wasn't all that long ago, really, that I spent most of my days constantly anxious and stressed and overwhelmed, dealing with all sorts of different health issues. And I was doing everything that you're supposed to do. I was checking all the boxes. I was living a healthy lifestyle, exercising regularly, eating organic foods, getting rid of toxic products in the house. Like, I was checking all the boxes, and I was still feeling awful. I was still dealing with all these awful, terrible, life-altering health problems. So I did what any normal person would do, and I went to go see my doctor. And she referred me to specialist after specialist after specialist and ran so much tests and took so much blood. And weeks went by. And when she finally sat me down, she looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Natalie, there is nothing wrong with you. You are totally normal." And I thought, what? Like, that's not okay. And she honestly told me, she said, "Look, you're getting old. This is what happens when you get old." And I thought, well, that's not okay. I'm not okay living like this for the rest of my life. Like, no, it's not okay. So it really started this crazy and incredible and just such an amazing journey to figure out what was really going on, what was causing the issues that I was dealing with. Ironically, at that time, I owned a natural store in my community. And one of my customers, I was talking to her, telling her about some of my problems. And she's like, hey, have you tried magnesium? Have you tried putting magnesium on your skin? And I thought, this lady's crazy, but I've tried everything else. Let me give this a go. Within days of using magnesium on my skin, I went from sleeping 2 hours a night to sleeping 6 hours a night, which is a huge difference. If you've ever gone without sleeping, it's pretty miserable. I noticed that my anxiety started to balance out. I noticed I stopped having panic attacks. Like, I felt incredible. And that led me down a journey. I'm a huge science nerd. I love research. So I wanted to know, wait a second, why didn't I know about this mineral? How is this affecting my life? What is it doing on the inside? And how do I tell everybody I've ever met about this? So that's been my mission, to really spread awareness about this mineral.
Wow. Well, it is a pretty interesting story because, first of all, I mean, the fact that you've gone through all this and different tests, different exams, and blood work and all that, and only to be told you just getting old. First of all, that's funny because yeah, I don't see you as getting old. I mean, we all getting old, but I mean, you're not that old. But for a doctor just to say that, I mean, you'd expect that for someone at a higher age. I mean, but that's funny. But really, it was blunt. I mean, really, that's it. I mean, there's nothing I can do for you. Which again, maybe from medical and clinical perspective, there was nothing showing on your workout, right? So I get that. I mean, sometimes medicine has also some limitations, and sometimes you have to do more research and more other, I guess, and look at angles, different angles to see. And I've had a lot of guests who had a similar experience where the conventional medicine didn't do it, and they looked outside of the realm of just drugs and things, and they found holistic approaches and other type of essential oils and things like that help them live a better life and a healthier life and vital life. So I can hear that story and I can see it and I can see the value. But so magnesium, I mean, so you said you were doing everything correctly, you were eating right, and then so would I assume that your diet would have pretty much all the vitamins, supplements that you would need, including magnesium, maybe. Was that true? Was that real, or were you actually taking magnesium before and just was not the right quantity, or?
Yeah. So, I took, at the time I was taking, a regular multivitamin.
Mm.
Now that I know what I know now, most multivitamins don't have the right form of magnesium in it. So it's almost like, they put it on the label. Hey, typically it's magnesium carbonate or magnesium oxide. And I'll definitely get into all the different types, but those two forms of magnesium are cheap fillers. They actually don't do much for raising your magnesium levels. So the multivitamin that I thought I was getting all my minerals with didn't have all the good stuff that my body needed. That, and in order to get the amount of magnesium that you need, in order to ward off all the different conditions that are associated with deficiency, you would have to eat a lot of calories in order to get just the right amount of magnesium. So it's sadly one of those minerals that it's just not as present in our foods as it used to be many years ago. Our soil has changed dramatically. Our farming practices are so different that minerals aren't as present in our soil, so they're not present in our fruits and vegetables and produce the way that they used to be. I've read different studies here and there that show that vitamin C in an orange now versus one from like the 1950s, we're looking at a difference of 5 to 8 times as much vitamin C that's missing from our produce now, and it simply comes down to our soil.
Wow, it's amazing. Well, so I do want to, just take a minute to discuss that part. I mean, you're talking about supplements that, over the counter type of supplements that people can buy through, like a major store or one of the large, surfaces. And actually, this is not the first time I've heard this, and I'm pretty sure listeners and viewers right now, they're like, I've heard that, or maybe I didn't know that. But like, we all can go to Super Walmart, a Costco, or one of those large, places and pick up, a nice big bottle of supplements. And I mean, you read the ingredients, but to your point, I mean, there are different levels of these minerals and vitamins, and I've been doing a lot of, I guess not studies, but I was reading a lot of different articles recently, especially toward the pandemic. And I've seen, and even on social media, I see a lot of posts on like, you're not getting the right, dose of this vitamin, this one or the other. because you're taking just the regular, supplements that are over the counter, and they're not really the ones. These are some of the ones that you should be looking into, because the quantities, are different in terms of what the intake is, right?
Yes.
And so, but then you also, so one is, it doesn't look like these supplements that are out there are, well, I mean, I'm sure there's somewhere we can find the right, the bigger, I guess, potent ones, right? But the average, store doesn't have those. So you have to really do more research and go to the right places. And you said you had an actual health store. So, I mean, you had all those things, but you, again, even you didn't have that particular, concentration, if you want to call it that way. But then you also, really are shooting us here, or giving us a little punch with something that, we might not think about. And maybe people listening right now, like, and watching, like, what is that? I mean, the fact that our nutrition is not really as nutritional as it should be. And that's a big deal, because, you're right. I mean, the food business that we're in today is different from like 50 years ago, or even 20, 30 years ago. Things have changed dramatically. The quality and the way we eat, and it's not so much, it's the fast food, it's everything. I mean, there's so much, that has changed in terms of how we eat in general. And a lot of people now are tending to revert back to the old school and trying to get there. But to your point, even if you do that, if the farms are doing different things, or the soil is different, and there is not enough, resources or minerals coming out from the ground up into the foods, then that's a problem in itself.
Oh
And
yeah.
so if I don't know if you know I mean, if you have the answer or not, but in your research, did you find out what would be the cause of that by any chance? And just, if you can share with us.
Yeah, what I see mostly is a couple things. One is we're not eating in season. We, for instance, here in Florida, I'm in Florida. We have apples here that we could buy at the grocery store. Apples don't grow in Florida. Like, that's not something that's naturally found here. So the ones that we get are the ones that are, on trucks for weeks at a time, coming from other states. So by the time it actually gets to us, it was picked weeks ago. The content of nutrition in that apple has gone down dramatically from the time that it's been picked and stored and left in hot trucks, that kind of thing. And then we look at, eating out of season. If that fruit or vegetable was not meant to be, grown here, in November, then when was it picked? When was it taken out? All that kind of really, really plays into the nutritional content of what we're eating. So, the best way, of course, to counteract that is to eat within the season, eat the fruits and vegetables that are growing now, and to buy them locally from your local organic small farmers. But so many of us live in giant cities where we don't have access to small farms, where we don't have access to organic produce the way, you might when you live in a small or country town, that kind of thing. So it really can, our conveniences in life really, really play a part into our nutrition as well.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I think you brought up a real point, because, for example, you live in Florida. I mean, that's citrus county. that's
Yeah.
that's anything, from oranges, to tangerines, whatever. That's the place, right?
Yes.
I mean, I love the juice there. So I have to, when I go there, as the first day, I drink a lot of that stuff, but you're right. Again, it depends on the season, because a lot of these fruits are designed, or vegetables are designed within a particular season for a reason. It's kind of
Yeah.
rhymes. but really, I mean, we think about it, right? Vitamin C and stuff, typically winter time, right? It's big, it helps, your immune system, whatever. So there's certain fruits that are only available, or they only grow in a particular time frame. There's a reason for that. Like
Mhm.
watermelon is summertime, right? They cool you off, right?
Yeah.
nice nutrition, water, right? But unfortunately, because of the way we operate our businesses right now in the food industry. I mean, you're right. Things are collected in the season. They're stored somewhere in the freezer, and then they're distributed all around. So we have those same fruits all year long. So we do have the luxury of enjoying those things all year long, which is a good thing. But to what extent, to what expense, we don't know what we're getting, because, to your point, nothing is as fresh as when you collect it from the ground or from a tree, right? And I can tell you this. I mean, I live in Jersey, as I said, And we do go like, like for example, in the summer we had peaches, and you go to the tree and pick them up. They're juicy. I mean, you can't get better than that. Right now is apple season, talking about apples. And so you can, you can get some real fresh ones, and you can tell the difference from the ones that are in the marketplace. They don't actually go bad quickly. They actually taste, juicier and stuff. So there's definitely a big difference. So that's important, for all of us listeners and viewers. So whatever you are, if you can get yourself access to whatever is season, product produced, at that time, enjoy it, take as much as you can, and enjoy it for as long as you can. And again, to your point, maybe now we talk about supplements and really compensating those lacks, certain things, minerals and vitamins within a time with that fruit or vegetable doesn't exist. So that's important, because I think that's something that we should, be aware of, and we pay no mind to it because we have access. You go to any supermarket, super store or supermarket or Walmart, whatever, and you'll see everything. It doesn't end. I mean, strawberries all year long. I mean, I know they're not all year long, but you'll have them all year long, right? They come from a different state or a different country, and they export it in that season. So we all have the luxury of having them. So, but again, that's one problem. The other one is really, to your point, the soil itself, the way we farm. I mean, maybe the pesticides, whatever we use, maybe that's another thing. The soil itself, you're right. Some of the farms are, as much as they're farms, they're not too far away from like maybe bigger cities and stuff. Maybe pollution can be something. Again, I'm maybe speculating right now and just giving stuff like that. But really, I mean, it could be multiple reasons. But the bottom line is, it doesn't seem that we have enough nutrition in those fruits or vegetables, and therefore we have a lack of those things, and we have no choice. But now, some people can say, well, maybe there's always theorists out there that can say, this is intentional, we want to and do this or the other. And I don't want to get into the politics or what the theories here for the show's purposes. And, so we'll keep it, nice and quiet here. So no controversy. But the fact of the matter is, it's a real question, and it's factual. And, you have experienced, you said, insomnia, sleep, issues. And I mean, 2 hours is not enough for anybody. I mean, anybody knows that, if you don't sleep, you cannot function properly, right? And therefore you have the anxiety, you have everything else. And, that's big, right? That is important. And so, and a lot of us actually do suffer from that. I mean, for whatever reason, because of the work, because of things, you just like literally going crazy because, you have to get up, you're thinking you have a meeting tomorrow, you got to do this, you got to do that. And sometimes that also has a big event. Then we have the media stuff, like the phones. We look at things. Screen time is affecting our brains, and the blue lights are affecting us, and all this stuff. So there's a bunch of things that affect us. But if your nutrition is not proper, that's a problem. And you're right. Even when you are doing a good job, in your case, you were doing a good job. You were doing everything by the book, working out, eating correctly, hopefully plant-based, whatever it is you've done. You thought you're doing good, except that something was wrong, and you discovered that it was a lack of a particular, mineral. Now, minerals, are from our soils, right? I mean, it's very simple. Phosphates, zinc, all these things. I mean, zinc was the biggest discussion in the last 2 years because of the pandemic. It's a big deal for your immune, especially if you're, if you were COVID, bound, whatever. That was one of the course treatments that you had received, whether at the hospital or at home. It was recommended, piece of, things that you use, right? Magnesium is not so much, but to your point, it has a very positive effect. So now I want you, if you don't mind, to give us the breakdown of magnesium, because you mentioned that the pills that we give that get with supplements, over the counter stuff is got nothing. I mean, it's maybe a small percentage, not enough. And to your point, if we were to have all these I guess pills, whatever they call them, or supplements, there's a lot of calories in them. So you'll have to eat, a lot of sugar to actually get, some of those, nutrients in your body. But where can we, first of all, what are the different examples of different magnesiums out there, types? And, what is the real quantity that someone needs to have on a day-to-day basis to be able to really get the best from magnesium?
Sure.
And by the another one, and is there a problem if you were to exceed that dosage?
Sure. Great questions. Oh, I love it. So first off, I kind of want to just go over the symptoms of low magnesium, so that people listening can kind of look at their life and say, well, yeah, I deal with this, or no, I don't deal with that. So some of the symptoms of low magnesium include headaches, chronic headaches, migraines, insomnia, like we talked about. Restless legs are very, very closely tied to magnesium deficiency, muscle cramping, muscle twitching, hormonal imbalances, anxiety, and even depression. All of those can be tied to low magnesium. And the wild thing, the crazy thing about this all is that the National Institute of Health says anywhere from 60 to 75% of the population is deficient in magnesium. So like, this is a huge epidemic, and unfortunately people aren't talking about it. There's an amazing author. Her name is Dr. Carolyn Dean, and she wrote this wonderful book called The Magnesium Miracle. In her book, she says that that low magnesium or magnesium deficiency is the cause of upwards of 85% of doctors' visits. So like, wow, that's huge. People are dealing with this. This is bigger than we ever talked about. So, you know, the first thing that people, of course, want to do is go and supplement with magnesium. And unfortunately, if you walk into the health food store and you look at the aisle of magnesium, you're going to see all sorts of different types of magnesium, and it's going to overwhelm you and it's going to confuse you, and you're probably not going to want to take anything at all because there are so many different types. So what I always like to tell people about is I always like to break down the different types of magnesium so that you can be well prepared and armed when you go into the health food store, so that you don't feel overwhelmed and you know what to look for. So when it comes to magnesium, we've got two different types. We've got oral magnesium, which is your pills, your powders, your supplements. And we have topical magnesium, and that's magnesium that you put on your skin. So I'll go over the oral ones. Oral magnesium, some of the great types out there is magnesium threonate. Magnesium threonate is really good if you have problems with your nerves, with your memory, dementia, mood, mental fatigue, anything brain related. Magnesium threonate is a wonderful option. Magnesium citrate is really popular. We see that in the market. It's typically marketed as a product called like Natural Calm. It's usually a powder, that kind of thing. Citrate is really good for anxiety and stress. However, it can be a little rough on the digestive system. So if you have leaky gut, if you have IBS, if you have any kind of digestive problem, you may want to stay away from it because it can give you a bit of a laxative effect. Magnesium glycinate is one of my personal favorites. It's wonderful for sleep. It's very, very well absorbed, excellent for restless legs and muscle cramps. It's a good one to take in the evenings before you go to bed. And then another one of my personal favorites is magnesium malate. And malate is wonderful for fatigue. So I like to take that one like at the beginning of the afternoon when my coffee starts wearing off and I need something to kind of get me going. You don't get the crash or the jitters that you often get with coffee, but it does give you a wonderful energy boost. So those are great forms of magnesium. Those are the ones you want to look for. The ones that you want to avoid are magnesium oxide and magnesium carbonate. Those two are cheap. They're usually found in cheap magnesium supplements. They are not very well absorbed. Carbonate does not help to bring up your magnesium levels, but it is a really wonderful antacid. So you can always use that as a natural antacid. And magnesium oxide, I've seen studies that show only about 4% of it actually gets absorbed into your system. So it really does not do well for bringing up your magnesium levels, but it does work as a laxative. So if you need a natural laxative, it's a good option as a laxative. So those are your oral supplements. So hopefully that helps you kind of navigate that health food aisle to kind of pick out, hey, I'm having a hard time sleeping. Maybe I'll grab some glycinate, that kind of thing. And then the other types of magnesium are the topical ones. I'm a huge fan of topical magnesium because it's wonderful for people who have leaky gut, people who have a really hard time absorbing nutrients, people who can't take a pill or a powder, especially children or the elderly, that kind of thing. They do wonderfully with topical magnesium. So there's two types of topical magnesium. The first one is Epsom salt. And Epsom salt, it's very common. Like everybody's heard of Epsom salt. You can go to your grocery store and buy a bag of it. It's readily available everywhere. It's incredibly, incredibly inexpensive. It's a wonderful option. Epsom salt is best taken in the bath. So I always tell people take 2 cups of Epsom salt and 1 cup of baking soda the bicarbonate and baking soda actually helps the magnesium absorb into your system really quickly. So it's always a good thing to pair those two together. Soak in the tub for 20 minutes. It's a wonderful way to get your magnesium levels up. I always tell people do this about 2 to 3 times a week. And if you don't have time to soak in the tub, because most people don't have time to do that 2 to 3 times, you can always soak your feet in that. So it's great to have underneath your office desk, or while you're watching TV, soak your feet in that Epsom salt mixture, which is really good for you. And then the last way is magnesium chloride, and that's my favorite type of magnesium. It's usually found in an oil, a spray, or a lotion. Works incredibly well for bringing up your magnesium levels, and you don't get any kind of side effects or anything. It's one of the best absorbed types of magnesium. There was actually a study back in 2017. Researchers found that people who use topical magnesium chloride were able to significantly bring up their magnesium levels within about 12 weeks versus people taking an oral supplement, which took 6 to 9 months. So we're definitely seeing that it's fast, it's effective, and it works really, really gently on the body.
Wow, that's a lot of magnesium. You broke it down to like almost one each category and what it is, and even the bad ones, and what's good about them. So I think you gave us a couple of formulas there that people can use here. Laxative, I like that. Antacid. I mean, even if it's low in terms of magnesium, it does have other side effects that are actually good side effects. So why not, right? But really, that's not solving the problem. Now, before I just wanted to just touch base on something you mentioned. So you stated that, some of the, symptoms of a lack of magnesium, sleep, that's one problem, anxiety, all the stuff that you enumerated there in a minute, that's like almost everybody.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Like as I was listening, I was like, I know a lot of people that have the same amount. I have a couple of those. So, hey, we got issues there. So it is like, really, to your point, not something we pay attention to, but we think about every other solution. Maybe it could be as simple as this, right? And I mean, you had to go through it and you discovered that's what it was, that was the problem. And you've seen results. Now, you broke it down to also like a scientific way, because you gave us the best way of, which magnesium should be used for what. Now, ultimately, we can use all these magnesium at the same time, I'm assuming, right? It's just different, pieces, different types for different reasons, right?
Yeah.
So there is no conflict, if you were to use these, pretty much in a week, a little bit of everything. Topical pills, is there a problem? Is there a medical thing that people can be concerned about here, or there's nothing?
Yeah, so I actually take 3 different types of magnesium daily. I do malate during the day, glycinate right before bed, and then I'll use topical magnesium throughout the day, especially when I'm feeling really anxious, or if I've been working out really hard. It's incredible for muscle fatigue and muscle soreness. So yeah, so you can absolutely take different types. I will say that what's going to work for a 22-year-old female is not necessarily going to work for a 54-year-old male. We all have different biochemistries. Our bodies are so beautifully unique. So it does take a little trial and error to figure out, hey, my body likes this, or this one's not really, I'm not gelling with that kind of thing. The beautiful thing about magnesium is it's relatively cheap. It's not like a crazy expensive supplement out there. So you can try different types to see which one works the best for you. People often get a little concerned, or like, oh, should I be worried? Should I be concerned? Magnesium's not a drug. It's a mineral. It's like vitamin, it's like a vitamin or a mineral. It's not a prescription drug or anything like that. So it's readily available, readily inexpensive. The only people, I will tell you, the only people who should not supplement with magnesium are anybody who has kidney issues or are missing their kidneys, because the kidneys play an important function in processing magnesium in the body. So if you have kidney problems, definitely stay away from magnesium. But outside of that, it's a relatively safe and effective mineral to supplement with. The only thing that really happens if you take too much magnesium at once is your body will get rid of it. It'll go out the other end. It'll give you diarrhea, basically, which is unpleasant. I'm not suggesting that that's a wonderful thing, but it's not deathly. So.
Well, thank you for that, because, well, first of all, always, I mean, when taking anything, you want to consult with your doctor. If you have any conditions, whatever, you want to match that. typically it's not going to be a problem. Doctors want you to be healthier, and they'll give you, hey, listen, it's got no side effects, whatever, or the side effects are minor. It cannot be worse than some of the medications. I can tell you that one. So, because
Okay.
when you get those disclaimers, you get scared, right? So you don't have that same disclaimer, for vitamins and supplements. So I think that's easy. And diarrhea is not the worst case scenario, although it could be painful, and everybody experiences that at a point in their life. It's not fun, right? But you're right, understanding it, and of course, like anything else, you want to do your research and kind of check out stuff and find out what works for you, what doesn't. But now, is there any interaction between magnesium and any other supplements, minerals, or something else that someone can be taking that we should be aware of?
Yes, if you're taking if you have low blood pressure, magnesium can actually lower your blood pressure, which is wonderful if you have high blood pressure. If you have very high blood pressure, magnesium is incredible for you. It helps bring it down. But if you have a very low blood pressure, or if you're taking you're taking medications to lower your blood pressure, you definitely want to talk to your physician about that in particular.
And I'm not sure of a lot of people that have low blood pressure these days. So
Right.
I think it's a good side effect here. So I think we should all have some magnesium because our blood pressure is either normal or higher. I have yet to see a lot of people with a lower one. So
Very true.
I think, well, I mean, in the health industry and the insurance world, and one of the, that I call them the three stooges, and they come in threes: diabetes, blood pressure, and cholesterol, right?
Yes.
So blood pressure is a big deal, and a lot of people have it. So it's just it's almost like a thing with the century. It's happening. It's real, and a lot of people have that problem. So if the side effect is to reduce it and drop it, we want it.
Well, it's funny that you say the big three, because magnesium not only lowers blood pressure, it also lowers cholesterol and diabetes. So
I'm telling you, the three stooges, they go together.
They do. I've been just utterly and completely fascinated about magnesium's role with cholesterol lately. Like, I've been on this huge deep dive to really kind of figure out what's going on there. And I learned something really interesting and really cool. Magnesium limits the activity of a cholesterol converting enzyme. It's got a big fancy name. It's HMF-CoA reductase. So big fancy name for an enzyme. And basically it acts as a shutoff switch for cholesterol. So when there's not enough magnesium in your body, that shutoff switch doesn't get activated, and you're bound to make more cholesterol than your body actually needs. So if you're getting enough magnesium, your body will only produce the necessary amount of cholesterol that it needs to function. So isn't that wild that, like, magnesium it plays so many roles in the body. There's actually the research that I'm seeing lately is that the number is over 700. So over 700 biochemical reactions depend on magnesium in order to happen. So it's just amazing to me. It really is.
It's almost like, weird to hear this and not enough of it on regular TV and, programming and stuff like that. I mean, the good news is that's what this channel is about, is to share stuff that we might not hear otherwise, in other places. And the good news, by the way, it's recorded. So whatever that formula is, we can listen to it a couple of times and get it right. I know somebody's going to have to rewind just to get that right. But that's good, right? But really, I mean, cholesterol, big deal. Sleep, big deal. Anxiety, big deal. That's all the stuff that we hear about every day now. I mean, almost everyone has one of these conditions somehow. So if the solution is magnesium, guess what? Magnesium it is, right?
Yeah.
Now, I can tell you, I mean, you sound like you're like literally like a fan and in love with magnesium. You're just a believer, right? And you know what? I mean, yes. So that's going to take us to the next level. You're not only a user, you're now you actually share with people, and you start your own company with it. And it happened that you said that you started this company about a year ago.
Mhm.
So I want to just highlight that point, because I've had so many guests, and many of them have started their businesses in the last 2 years, literally the pandemic. For some, I mean, it's tragic, and there's a lot of debt and lost life and things like that, and people lost their income and stuff. But some people actually took the advantage of the time and really took it to whatever their, I guess, whatever they want, the ambition and their dreams, and they made them come true. So you did that, and you did it. Now you had already you said you had a store, like a health store. So now you just went to the next level, and you just focused, you create a company that's specifically for magnesium products, topical products, right?
Mhm. Yep, everything we do is topical just because I had such a huge impact with the topical. And I'm not saying, I mean, oral magnesium is important too. Everything plays its own role. And of course, magnesium rich foods and a magnesium rich diet is, I cannot state how important that is as well. But for me, topical magnesium, like that changed my life. Like that for me was just so impactful. So yeah, so I at the time I was using magnesium chloride sprays. And I don't know if you've ever tried a magnesium chloride spray. It chloride is a salt. So when you put salt on your skin, it can burn, itch, dry out your skin, irritate your skin. It was really unpleasant to use it on my skin every day, but it was helping me sleep and it was getting rid of my anxiety and I wasn't having panic attacks. So for me, it was worth it, but I dreaded having to put it on every day. It made me miserable. So I thought, okay, there's got to be a better way. So I started looking into all the different ways to get magnesium chloride onto my skin that wouldn't burn or itch. And there's a bunch of magnesium creams on the market, lots of different magnesium lotions. Unfortunately, most of them have toxic chemicals or parabens and just yucky stuff that I did not want to bring into my household. So, you know, I wound up going to on Etsy and finding people who hand make it and it's nice and natural and stuff like that. But the shelf life is like a month, you know, like like here I am, like every month I'd have to buy this and it was greasy and it was heavy and it was uncomfortable. It didn't feel good on my skin. So I thought, you know, there's got to be a better way. Let me figure something out. So I went and worked with, I think 4 different chemists from all around the world to try and formulate a magnesium lotion that it was super, super highly concentrated with magnesium, but felt really good on your skin and didn't have disgusting, gross chemicals in it. And so it took a while, it took about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And then we finally got the formula down and started manufacturing it. And the response has been just insane. It's been incredible.
Wow, I love it. Well, I mean, you're right. It's not easy to find the right products that are like, I guess, chemical free and things like that, and especially not in the market. I mean, there are products out there. There's companies that believe in, no parabens and sulfates and all the stuff. I mean, I can speak to it because I do have a cosmetic company and we use the Moroccan oil, products and prickly, pear seed oils and things like that, and it's all natural. So there's no even the shampoos and stuff there. So I know exactly how it is and the importance of those. I mean, they're just different. And sometimes you find products they claim such, but then there's always additional ingredients that you may not want to have. But really, what you did is the old saying, necessity is mother invention. So you did exactly that. You can find the product or solution, you made the solution, and that's awesome because from just an innovative or innovation, concept. I mean, for people listening, hey, listen, that's exactly how you do it. If you can't find something, you make it happen, right? And there's always that. I mean, it's not easy and it takes time, and you had the time and the luxury to do this, and why not, right? But you producing products that can be not only solving the problem of magnesium, but also that are soft on the skin and easily acceptable, and I guess they probably smell good too, so
Yes, of course.
I'm sure they do. And now how many types of topicals that you've put together right now, I mean, in terms of your company?
Yeah, so we created 3 different formulas to address the 3 biggest problems that people are facing right now. The first one, of course, is sleep. There's so many people dealing with sleep issues and restless legs and leg cramping and insomnia and all that stuff. So I wanted something that would really address that. We created our Rest Cream, which is made not only with a high concentration of magnesium chloride, but it's also got chamomile and passion flower and lavender and all these beautiful herbs to support a restful night's sleep. The second formula we created was a relief formula, which is incredible for aches, pain, soreness, inflammation, that type of thing. And that's made not only with magnesium, but with comfrey and with white willow bark and arnica. It's got all these beautiful different herbs to support anti-inflammatory, bringing down the inflammation, bringing down pain. And then our last formula, which is definitely been our most popular, is our tranquility, and that's for stress, because who isn't stressed right now? And that's got that's got the ashwagandha and the tulsi and the rhodiola, and all of them are made with essential oils that help support your well-being as well.
Wow. Now you mentioned something about shelf life, right? And
Yes.
so I know that was a big deal for you, and that's what prompted you to do this, right? So what would be your shelf life in terms of, like, when someone buys the product? I mean, is it a decent amount of time that people can? I mean, you
Yeah.
got to use this often enough that you're
Yes.
gonna run out quick. So it doesn't have to be yours, but certainly it's more than
Yes.
what you experienced when you were buying them off the.
Yes, 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 yes. Ours are all of our creams are made with a natural and organic preservative and natural antioxidants. So it extends our shelf life to about 2 years, which is really, really awesome. Not that your jar is going to last that long, because most
I
people go through it in about a month,
I
but
figured.
but it's good to know, especially when you're gifting it to people, that kind of thing. So yeah, yeah, it was the hardest thing to convince chemists and manufacturers to help me create something that will last but also is naturally preserved, because all of them were like, oh, we'll throw this on there, we're throwing, like, no, 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 that's not okay, I need it to be good. So all of our ingredients are ranked 1, 2, which is the green level in the
Hmm.
Skin Deep EWG database, so they're all good, safe, and healthy.
We're on the same page. We got the same rating. So
I love
I
it,
know
I
I,
love it.
I know what you're talking about. So that's important. Some people may know about this, but that's where level 10 will be radioactive.
Yes, yes.
You do not want to have something with a 10, in that particular, scale. So definitely 1 or 2 is the way to go. So that's great to hear. Now I'm gonna ask just technical questions people are gonna ask. How affordable are the products?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a good question. So our creams are $34.99 for a 4-ounce jar. And a 4-ounce jar, if you use it every single day regularly, like I do, it'll last you about a month. And that's a month with me and my kids using it. So if it's just you, it'll probably give you a good 2 months. So, but for me, it was it's affordable enough, as opposed to paying for that prescription Ambien or the prescription, all those prescription drugs, the Xanax, all that kind of stuff. I was able to not have to take those medications because I was using magnesium instead. So for me, it worked out in the long run.
Well, but again, I mean, is that the price for pretty much the 3 types, or
Yeah,
is
all three
just?
of them are, yeah. And then we have a starter kit where you can get all three of the creams for $80.
Oh, that's awesome. So, well, if you think about it, right, if you go buy products anyway, supplements and things like that, it's probably gonna cost you just about or maybe half of that, but
Mhm.
it's just not the same thing, right? And
Yeah.
again, to each his own. People have to look at that. But when you're looking, and you said yourself, you've been looking all over the place. You've tried different things. You spent a lot of money, still didn't get the results. And really, when you sleep well and you have a better life, it means for the investment. Sometimes, we spend, maybe coffee can cost us more than $80 a month. So, and I have to say, ladies, you guys spend a lot more on nails and pedicure, manicures, and so if it has to do with your health, it's worth the investment. You can do this, right? Well, and same thing for guys. I mean, we spend, money on a lot of things, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
should be always a good investment. Whatever you put in your health is never going to go to waste. I mean, it's important. So. Well, thank you for sharing actually the value and stuff. And now, you mentioned earlier something I just forgot to ask. You're talking about food minerals, right? And is where can people get magnesium in food?
That's a great question. So your dark green leafy vegetables, your whole grains, your nuts, your seeds, and even dark chocolate. And I mean like the good chocolate, not like a Hershey's bar, but like good healthy dark chocolate. That is a wonderful source of magnesium as well. It's just unfortunate is that so many of us don't eat those foods. So many of us don't eat the dark leafy greens. We don't eat, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, that kind of thing. And that's something that we should be having every day. Sometimes I think about it, I'm like, the fact that we literally have companies who hire food scientists that are their only job is to make the food more addicting, to make the food taste better so that you eat more of it. So like that always just completely blows my mind, because we're up against constant advertising for junk food. We're up against the addictive qualities of the salt and the oils and the chemicals that are in food. We're up against the cost of food. It's cheaper to buy a bag of potato chips than it is to buy a bag of apples, and there's something really wrong with that. So we're really faced with uh, hard decisions every time we go to eat, and it can be really difficult to choose those magnesium rich foods instead of choosing food that comes in a box filled with preservatives and chemicals and stuff.
Well, I know you're the magnesium, guru here, but I know that this is not just limited to magnesium. I think it's limited
Yes.
that any mineral. We're probably missing a lot of that. We're missing a lot of. I mean, iron is another thing that people may not be taking enough of, and for blood purposes and everything. And I know that's a big thing. When women are pregnant, iron is deficiency is big. Calcium is another one. And there's so many. And then you're talking vitamins also. That's the other thing. I mean, people are not taking. I mean, we mentioned earlier zinc, right? And that's the other thing. A lot of people don't even take enough zinc, in their daily. And zinc is important for vitamin D, absorption. So there's so many things that people have to just basically educate themselves and do the research. Luckily, I mean, there's so many places you can look for these things. I mean, Anka Google is is available. you
Yes.
can Googleize everything you want these days, and you can get good answers. But you do your research, you'll find solutions. And again, we're trying to bring in the solutions, resources in the platform here. So, and that's what we do. So, first of all, thank you for actually the work you do. I mean, your personal experience. Yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, I can see the value of you making it, a business, which is awesome. But also, it's something that when you believe in it, wholeheartedly. I mean, wholeheartedly, it's all you. This is you, right? And you believe in it, and you're really in love with magnesium and the results of magnesium. That's the thing. When you enjoy something, you want to share with the world, and that's passion, and it's beautiful because people. I would trust you than trust someone who doesn't believe in whatever. And that's the other thing. If you don't believe in something, you're never going to be able to pitch it correctly.
Yeah.
And you do what you do, you're going to do a poor job. So, and I'm in sales, so I know exactly how that feels. If you don't believe in the product, you'll sell it, but you're not going to know how to sell it well. And again, this is not even selling this because at the end of the day, if you do have these symptoms, you auto check on different options. And if it's medicine, that's not going to do it, or you don't want to get pills. You got to look at alternative, resources, and this is another one. And so, hey, I mean, it's important for people watching, listening, check out, the company. So let's talk about that. How can people basically get the product or reach out to you or just order the products? I mean, is it online? Is it a website?
Yeah, so everything that we offer is on our website. Our website is berootedin.com. That's BEROOTEDIN. And you can find us on social media, TikTok. We're really big on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. All of them are at Be Rooted In as well. So, and I actually answer my messages. I reply to comments. If you have questions, please reach out. I love talking to people. I also have a really great resource. I tend to be really sciencey and I love research. So if you wanted to learn more about magnesium, if you want just a quick resource to go through to learn more about the different types, how much should you be taking, all that good stuff, I have a really great resource that can be found on our website as well at berootedin.com/magnesium. It's totally free. It's a 25-page guide to everything magnesium that any question you've ever had will be answered in that.
Well, actually, so that's a good question because I think we missed that earlier, which is like, is there a specific quantity of magnesium that your body needs to take a day?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's a great, yeah, I totally forgot to answer that earlier. So yeah, so when it comes to magnesium, the RDA is 350 to 400 milligrams per day, but that's just barely enough to ward off the 22 conditions that are associated with magnesium deficiency. To actually feel your best and really, really benefit magnesium, it's likely you're going to need much more than that. So as with anything, you have to play around with the amounts, figure out which one your body, how much your body resonates with. An incredible doctor, his name is Dr. Morley Robbins, and he's like the godfather of magnesium. He's like the original OG when it comes to like magnesium research. He recommends 5 milligrams of magnesium per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you would be taking 1,000 milligrams a day. Now that's not a starting dose, that's definitely, and that's not a take it all at once kind of dose. You want to start low and slow and work your way up to higher doses as the days go by. Don't take it all at once. If your magnesium powder is 1 teaspoon that you mix up in order to take it, you want to break that up into 2 or 3 doses and take it throughout the day instead.
So this way it's consistent and it's steadily absorbing the body and it's not just in one shot.
Yeah, because
So
if you
you
take it
don't.
all in one shot, it'll come out the other end. So
Yeah, I figured. Well, I figured. I guess that's the flag, right? If you go into the bathroom, then you have issues.
yes,
Something is off. You gotta have to scale down, right?
exactly. You've
So,
taken too much.
well, listen. I mean, it's good to share that with people so they're aware. Now you know. You're you have been warned, right?
And
but that.
of course, check with your physician first. I always have the disclaimer: talk to your physician first. Make sure you're good to go and you're clear to take magnesium.
That's a key element here because whatever all we do, I mean, we're on the show, we're sharing resources and stuff, but not everything is for everyone.
Mhm.
And so, you have to find your own, makes your own formula and stuff, but you have at least the access to information. Now you
Mhm.
can do some more research and find out what's going to work for you. And you know what? You test things as long as there's no bad effect, and you can test that out and it makes sense. And you can also consult with your, physician. And that's always important. I mean, we do that for fitness. You don't just start an exercise, regimen unless you go and check with your doctor. You don't want to have problems, right? Same concept. You don't take any nutrients or something, well, any supplements without, confirming that, if it's going to have a side effect. Because sometimes people may have a medicine and they don't know
Mhm.
what the interactions could be, and that's another thing. So again, it's a beautiful disclaimer. It's easy to do. You don't have to worry about it. So know what magnesium does, but also find out, if it has any problems with you, or if your doctor says go for it, thumbs up, just go for it. Do your thing. But again, same thing. Do the research, whether it's magnesium or any other minerals. And I'll try to find some other, guests, to talk about maybe other key like the zinc and all the other ones, and the importance of maybe just all the vitamins, in the body, and just keeping a healthy body, right? And you also mentioned something important about age and size. I mean, gender, all these things are different. Everybody's different in how they absorb. There's genetics, there's so many things, right? There's your background, where you eat, to your point. I mean, if you live in an area where there's farm food and you're always getting rich stuff, you might want to balance it out differently, as opposed to, like you said, when we live in a big city and you buy all your stuff in shelf, in a can, right? It's different, right? So and also look at, rich, I mean, I love dates, and I think dates have also a great amount of magnesium.
Yeah.
And but I'm saying there's different things you can, you just have to research your stuff and make sure you do it. And that's all there is. At the end of the day, we owe it to ourselves to live a healthy life, and to stay healthy and fit and well. And then to do that, we have to avoid anything that's bad and try to get everything that's good.
Yeah.
That's a simple formula, right? I mean, it
It
doesn't
is.
sound like a rocket science, but you'll be surprised that, to your point, because we are suggested all these things daily,
Yes.
that you think. I mean, even our kids, I think that's the
Mhm.
dilemma that I feel or I see, is that our kids are not getting any of it. I
Yeah.
mean, I can tell you, I mean, I have 3 kids and none of them, eats healthy. And when I struggle with it because,
Mhm.
no matter what you do, I mean, I have one, my daughter is a little bit okay. She can dabble with different things. My son has got like a limited menu, which basically involves pizza and burger and stuff, which not good for him. We had this conversation. I mean, recently, that he wants to get into sports and stuff. I'm like, well, you want to do this, you better get into your vitamins and minerals to get healthier. Otherwise, that's not going to help you. But that's, I think, a problem in itself, because our new generation, the young folks, they're not getting all that nutrient stuff. They don't eat vegetables, they don't eat fruits, and therefore they eliminate all that stuff. And sometimes they don't even eat minerals, so,
Mhm.
or vitamins for that matter. So they really have a problem. They break easy, and my son broke his arm quickly, boom, done. I mean, uh it's amazing, but it sounds like there's something that is missing in their body and physiology. So I don't know, but again, parents, you listening, watching, I mean, you want to do the best that you can to try to get your kids to eat healthier and do stuff. Now, we're not saying you can't enjoy your snacks every now and then, things like that, but everything in moderation.
Oh
You can
yeah,
have a
absolutely.
cheat day, whatever, but let's reverse the concept. 90% of good and maybe 10% of bad, versus the other way around. So again, these are just advices that you can take or not take. I mean, you have a freedom of choice here, so we're not imposing this on anyone, but at the end of the day, it's just an observation, and it's, I think it's real, and people can relate to it. I mean, again, as a parent, I know for a fact that that is a problem.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
even, you go to this, like, you can go to any fancy place or healthy place, and they still like, oh, can I have a burger? I mean, like there's nothing that they can eat in that plate. I mean, we eat, a lot of, green stuff on the table, but they're not eating any of it. So there's like 3-4 menus going on in the house every day.
Oh my goodness.
That's a
It's
problem.
hard. It's hard. Yeah, I've got 2 kids myself, and it's hard being a parent in this day and age. When here I'm saying eat your broccoli, and they're like, but I want French fries. Like
Mm.
it's definitely, it's not easy, but it's also part of the reason why we're seeing obesity rates in children increase, why we're seeing diabetes in children, why we're seeing high blood pressure and high cholesterol in children. And we never saw that 50 years ago. We never saw that even 30 years ago. So like it's scary. It's scary when we're seeing these conditions that are normally associated with old age happen to young children. And so yeah, like I agree with you. Like it's affecting our children. There's a really cool research with magnesium and ADHD in particular, because I don't know about you, but I feel like every time I go to school, I'm hearing about all these other children who have ADHD and all sorts of other issues. And low magnesium can actually increase agitation, irritability, aggression in children. And studies are showing that low magnesium levels in children are associated with behavior problems and ADHD. So like it's one of those things, well, maybe if our children's diets were a little bit more balanced, maybe if they had more minerals and more calming vitamins like your B12 and that kind of thing, that maybe we wouldn't see the prevalence of all these issues that we're seeing in the school systems as much as we do now. I mean, it's something definitely to consider.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, if it affects the adults and it affects the kids, I mean, definitely, it's something to consider, because it's not. I mean, again, this is not difficult. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, I mean, you add a supplement to your daily routine, and you can change lives, right? You can change behavioral stuff and get better outcomes, right? So it's worth trying. I mean, even if it's a test run, just do it.
Yeah, it start off with an Epsom salt bath, like especially with children. Children do great, especially young children. They do great with baths. So throw some Epsom salts next time you give your child a bath, and see how they react to it. See if they're calmer, if they sleep better, if they're more focused during the day, if they're less aggressive. And then okay, well, I'm on to something. And of course, I always tell people, the disclaimer is you can't out supplement a bad diet. So start with diet first. Make sure your household, your family, yourself, that everybody's eating a great diet. They're doing everything they're supposed to do, and then slowly start adding supplements. I tell people, I'm like, you can't try and put out all your disorders with magnesium, because it's like trying to put out a fire with a water gun. It's just not going to happen. Like the number one thing that's causing the fire is the bad diet. So if we fix that first and then we add supplements, you're going to be off to a really good start.
And I think with that advice, we're good. I think that's powerful. And we're coming to the end of the show, and I really wanted to thank you, Natalie, for great advice and great presentation in terms of like the benefits of magnesium and good outcome if you were to use that in your diet. And you've clarified a lot of things, I think, in a simple way that anyone watching and listening can really, I guess, adapt to it very easily. And, so that's about it. Any last comments or added value you want to just share with the audiences right now?
Yeah, just one thing that like for me, I feel like it was like a divine tap on the shoulder, was don't let anybody tell you that your normal is not okay. When the doctors told me, oh, it's normal to feel that way, I had to fight back. I had to fight back and say, no, that's not my normal. And my normal is a lot better than your normal. So, if you're in a situation like I was, where you feel like, no, it's not okay to feel like this, keep pushing, keep diving, keep looking, keep researching until you figure out how your normal is supposed to be for you.
And thank you for that. I mean, and first of all, I mean, just for as a disclaimer, I mean, doctors do their best, and they have to do their piece, but there's a point where they don't know more, because they can only see what's on the results and things like that. And there can be more things, right? And sometimes, the more I guess testing, you'll get better results or better, things that you can highlight. But eventually you can stop to a point when there's that, they just basically stop. You're right. I mean, you don't stop there. You just go there, seek an opinion, do other things, research, holistic, natural, stuff. And a lot of people do that. I mean, they test both sides, Western medicine, old medicine, like, natural medicine, all these things. I mean, not just, sometimes Eastern medicine works just as good, right? Essential oils, all these things, I mean, are available. And by the way, all these things can be together. You don't have to have one versus the other. And then you can, remove things that don't, make sense anymore, and just, keep the good stuff. And just as long as you feel healthy and everything is good, that's the bottom line. That's what we want. So thank you for really that's a great advice. Natalie, it was a pleasure. It was a great, time here, and I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our audiences will enjoy it just as much. And so I wanted to thank you, and folks, thank you for listening, watching, and we'll be talking soon. Different show, different guest, different topic. Bye now. Ciao.
Bye. Thanks so much.